Okay, so we want to talk today about lines. Imagine that you have two variables that are related to each other in some sort of a way. For example, calories and weight, such that the more calories you consume, the more you weigh. Or hours worked and income, such as the more hours worked, the more income you have. If these two variables, there's only two of them and they're related to each other, then we can describe that relationship as a line. But the important thing is to remember, underlying this is the idea that there's a relationship between these two variables that you want to talk about, so that when you get more of one, you get more of the other, or when you get more of one, you get less of the other. But the relationship stays constant. The simplest type of relationship to describe is a linear one. And in a linear one, the amount that x changes, when x changes, y changes by a predictable amount. For example, if you work for $20 an hour, for every hour you work, you get $20 more worth of income. Or for every 3,600 calories you consume, you gain 1 pound. It's a linear relationship. So if we have a linear relationship, in principle, if we know how much x somebody has, then we can tell how much y they have. So for example, if we know how many hours somebody worked, we can know how much money they have. But to complete this, we have to know how much money they started with. So in other words, how much y they started with. So if we know how much x somebody did and how much y they started with, we can tell how much y they ended up with. So if you start off with $100 and you work for 10 hours at $20 an hour, then you should have $300 when you're done. So as another example, imagine that you started with $100 and you worked for 3 hours at $20 an hour, then you should have $160. More importantly, you can know how much money somebody would have with any amount that they worked. All you have to do is write the equation. The amount of money somebody has equals $100 plus the number of hours they worked times how much they get paid per hour. And that's a line. If we look at this picture of this linear relationship, then we can see that there's something called the intercept, which is at $100. And then there's something called the slope of the line, which tells you how steep the line is, and that's the $20 per hour. The important thing is to define a line, all we have to do is specify the values of the intercept and the slope, which are also called, we're going to call them beta 0 and beta 1. So all we have to do is specify those values and we've defined a line. Okay, so consider this line here. If we look at the formula y equals beta 0 plus beta 1 times x, we can determine where the beta 0 and the beta 1 is on here. First, the beta 0 is at 2. That's the intercept. That's the amount of y you have when x is equal to 0. And in this case, it's going to be 2. The second thing is going to be the beta 1, which is the slope, which is also defined as the rise over the run. So it's how much you go up as you move forward. And in this case, the slope equals 1/2. So the full equation for this line is y equals 2 plus 1/2 of x. The important thing is that the line describes a relationship between x and y, whatever x and y is, so that if we know how much, what the beta 0 and the beta 1 are, we can tell for any level of x how much y we're going to have. That's the important thing to take away from here.